Hi, Dr. Kasa. This is Aderonke Akinjobi. I'll be answering some questions for Research Design 3 assignment. And the first question has to do with the importance of theoretical framework in educational research. The question is, how would you explain the importance of theoretical frameworks in educational research? A theoretical framework is very important in educational research because it explains the relationship between the various variables that the researchers would want to look at. It also helps the researcher to identify gaps in existing knowledge and guides the development of your research questions, your hypothesis, and the methodology. So it is very, very important because it's like the foundation to the research itself or the study. So it's important in educational research for a researcher to be able to identify the appropriate theoretical framework that aligns with your study or whatever you want to research. It helps you to organize your data, to analyze, to look at the best method to analyze your data, to also evaluate your results and your findings, and also helps you to reach a conclusion. So it guarantees that your research is based on known concepts and principles, and of course, this improves your validity and then the reliability of your study. The second question, still on theoretical framework, says, how can a novice researcher identify a theoretical framework appropriate for their study? And then the second part of it says, are there any resources or tools that can help in the process? So for a novice researcher or a new researcher like myself, to identify the appropriate theoretical framework to use, it involves reviewing literature related to the research topic. So you need to go through a lot of academic journals, a lot of literatures, peer-reviewed literature, to identify studies that are similar to uh, the study you want to undergo or you want to embark on, and then look at the kind of theories that the researchers used, or models, theories or models that the researchers used, and see how it aligns with your research questions and your objective. Doing that would help you to identify the right theory or model. So for instance, for the study I want to embark on, I'm looking at the impact of leadership styles on employee change reaction during a transformational change. So looking at that, one of the my theoretical framework would be to look at organizational change models. And looking at that, there are so many organizational change models, but in identifying the appropriate one, I would actually think of what my objective is. So my objective is not to describe the change per se, because the organizational change models are divided into two. There's one that is the processual, that talks about the process of change, and then the other one is the descriptive one, that talks about the impact of the change on the organization. So if I'm going to pick, I would probably pick one that would describe the relationship between the variables or the elements that are involved in the change, meaning that I'm going to look at one that talks about the relationship between leadership and employee, and don't necessarily one that describes the change. So that is how to, looking at your objective also would also guide you on how to pick the appropriate theoretical framework for your dissertation. The third question says, why must a researcher explicitly state their theoretical framework in their dissertation? So it's very important for you to state your dissertation because it provides a clear foundation for your study. Anybody that it also helps you to chart your direction where you're going, and it helps you to establish your theoretical basis for your research questions. What are the known facts or theories that researchers have used to explain this phenomenon in the past, or something that is similar to what you're, and that of course will justify the methodology that you use, and also your research questions, and how you interpret your result or your findings, and then the conclusion that you would arrive to, or arrive at the end of your study. So the fourth question says, what are some of the critical elements of the theoretical framework? So the elements of the theoretical framework are constructs, concepts, and proposition related to, and proposition rather. So there are three: construct, concepts, and proposition. So concepts are like abstract or variables that are central to the theory, what the theory is all about. And then the concepts are more specific ideas that are derived from constructs, and that they are measurable or observable. Propositions, however, are statements that explain relationship between constructs and guide your hypothesis. So the second question is, how do you construct, concept, proposition relate to developing a theoretical framework? So developing a theoretical framework involves, of course, defining key constructs, clarifying the interrelationship through propositions, and also integrating relevant concepts from existing literature. So meaning that you are looking at prior studies or researches that have been done that is similar to what you're doing, and you're looking at what the foundation is, what are the concepts, the major concepts, and what is the relationship between all of those concepts. That is what will help you develop a theoretical framework that is ideal for your research. The last question says, how can a theoretical framework influence the design of a study, including the type of questions asked, the methods you use to collect and analyze your data, and the interpretation of the results? So just like I said earlier, a theoretical framework helps to shape your study because it influences your research questions. It guides the formulation of focused research questions that align with the concepts or the theoretical concept that you're trying to look at. So if you're looking at effect of leadership, for instance, your questions would, of course, be formulated around leadership behavior, uh, their methodology, how a leader behaves, or the kind of styles, how they arrive at decisions, how they lead their followers, and how they motivate or otherwise. So that is what will guide your research questions. So it is the theoretical framework that influences the kind of questions that you're going to ask. Then the method or the methodology that you use. Your theoretical framework informs the selection of appropriate method for data collection and analysis that are consistent with the theoretical framework itself. So the interpretation of your results also, it helps you interpret your findings because you are now comparing your outcome, the outcome of your study, with prior outcomes of other researchers that have um, carried out studies along the same premise, and looking at what their conclusion is, and see how far your own outcome is from those theories or those findings, or how close your finding is uh, to those prior findings or results or theories. So from that you can interpret the results or your outcome. Um, I think I have covered all of the questions, and I hope I've been able to shed light to the importance of the theoretical framework in a research. Thank you.